And so really thank you for sharing that perspective. I do think it's something that is powerful and interesting to just see come out of all of our sports and just this time in general. But one question I want to hit you with is, a lot of people you were mentioning to me, may have looked at this event and as a turf manager been like, that's, just far out of my realm of possibility. I have this budget, or maybe I have this much traffic. Kind of what are some of the turf tips or cultural best practices that you can, share with people that may think this is out of their realm, to just kind of get the most out of their high traffic areas, and also just, realize that it is a possibility for them, whatever they may be dealing with?
It's a great question, and I scrolled back through the photos to go back to this because I think it's a huge takeaway that it doesn't matter if this is a professional. I mean, granted, this was a professional high level match or event that we had an all-star team that was able to field management team that was essentially pull off essentially what is the largest field maintenance effort that's ever been done, at least at the professional level. That in itself, kind of leads us to, well, if this is Parks and Rec or if this is a high school, we don't have those resources. We don't have the all-star team of ESPN Wide World of Sports. We don't have the equipment. We don't have the budget. I go back to this graphic because, if this is a high school field, let's say this is a high school football field, a high school soccer field. I mean, we study these traffic patterns from a data standpoint all of the time. Mm-hmm. And this has become at this point, this is predictable that in the middle of the pitch, this is American football. Essentially we're going to be inside the hash marks between the 30s is where the core of the play is going to be. Between the 30-yard lines, being a 30-yard line down here to 30. So it's going to be right here in this core piece. Sidelines. Sideline would be here. Sideline would be here. That would be where the compaction would accumulate in a situation like this, or a situation like that, say high school football. This is from soccer. I mean, we're developing what we see as a diamond, essentially, and I'm kind of tracing it here with the cursor, if you can see that. We get this diamond effect. Nobody goes in the corners for soccer. We get the goal mouth traffic. That is not unique. Mm-hmm. The outliers are compaction that is existing in a field that is there from construction or from renovation. We had a client that we did some surface testing for last month. That it was, I guess it was in May. So when you lose 2 months, you don't realize. Yeah. So that let's take this pitch and pretend like it's all green except the red area over here, and they were having issues with winter kill on the Bermuda grass in this area. They were suspecting that it was shade, but when we did the compaction map, when we do this, we test over 50 points an acre to get some real accuracy. So over 100 points per field. They had an area like this red area along the edge where the winter kill was. And so what we had taken that compaction back to was the construction entrance when they built the tennis courts that were up above, like up here. So we can't predict that. Mm-hmm. But what we can predict is that what matches and games from football and soccer are going to produce. Mm-hmm. And it's right in the middle of the pitch. It's right in the middle of the field. It's the goal mouth closest to the parking lot. Like, these are things that we essentially have come to understand and know. So to answer your question finally, if we know the traffic's in the middle and we know that the goal mouth is going to be the first spot that's going to wear out, or we know that inside the hash marks between the 30-yard lines are where it's going to wear out the most, grass fields don't fail. The maintenance of grass fields fails. Mm-hmm. when we maintain the entire field the same way, knowing that our traffic is right here, well, our compaction is going to essentially be too low here. You know, we can actually get too soft, and we're still going to be too hard in that middle. Like, so in a low budget situation, we focus all of our resources right here in the middle.
Yeah.
Get the compaction down. Let's say, you know, for high school, I was over the field yesterday that their budget's really been cut back because obviously, you know, things are tricky right now with the pandemic, obviously. So they were talking about doing a renovation to their field next year to put Bermuda grass on a field that currently is a fescue bluegrass mix. I said, well, let's just get, you know, let's get the middle sprigged. We don't have to do the whole thing. We know the middle's going to wear out. We know that the bluegrass fescue mix they were using isn't sustaining. By them sprigging Bermuda grass, at least, you know, it's, you know, $4,000, $5,000 an acre. So let's do 1 acre as opposed to the 2 acres. And then you can do your overseeding into it. And then next year you can sprig the rest. You know, it's like getting outside the box to come up with a solution. I used the example earlier that what Tim and Tommy and John and I were faced with is that we couldn't say no. We had problems, but we couldn't say, well, a problem is a problem. Well, we know the problem here, so let's come up with a different solution. And that's what we were forced to do at Disney. I think that's a great, I think it's a great example of, you know what, we got to come up with a different solution. I mean, we were making applications for every one full field application of anything during the event or on all the training fields over the 49 days. The middle and the high traffic areas got 3 applications for every 1 full field application. Now, and when I say application, that can mean aerification, that can mean fertilizer, that can mean growth regulator, that can mean anything that we used. We focused it on the high traffic areas. When you fly into an airport in a city and you're descending or ascending, you look out the window and you look down and you see high school football fields, you see park fields. What's worn out? The middle's worn out. The whole field isn't worn out. The middle's worn out. This is predictable. And the fact that, you know, the overall thinking in our industry is kind of gone to, or where especially grass fields have this reputation. Well, grass fields fail. And that's why I said previously, and which makes, you know, field managers uncomfortable when I say the grass fields don't fail. You know, maintenance of grass fields fails. I mean, construction also fails of grass fields, which leads to maintenance failing. But if we maintain the whole field the same way, if we don't spend money differently in the high traffic area, it's going to fail. And that's really, to me, the takeaway. It doesn't matter what level we're at. We have to focus our maintenance on those high traffic areas to be able to get more out of anything. You know, it's and you know, I would put it back to you if I could. I mean, obviously you're not a seasoned field manager like a lot of folks are, or I mean, that seems simple, doesn't it? I mean, from a basic premise, knowing where the traffic pattern is or such to focus maintenance there.
Definitely. I mean, I'm not a athlete or a turf manager by any means, but just from playing high school ball, that would make sense to me. And so I think it's something that is definitely could hit home for anybody. Just to, you know, we had another gentleman on here, Rick Pruzzi, and his big takeaway was, you know, no matter what budget you're working with, or, you know, after COVID, or even on your normal day, no matter what your crew looks like or your budget, focus your area on your premier field, or focus your attention or budget on, you know, one thing. Start there and then take it from there. So I think what you're saying, you know, if you're seeing that the middle of your field is not performing the way you want to, start there and then expand.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So, and I think that that's a huge takeaway from this lesson, and a huge takeaway for many people, no matter what level they're working at right now. Just focus and then expand. Well,
and generically speaking, to back that up, and Rick's class guy, obviously spot on. From all the fields that we see, anywhere in the world that we're working, 85 to 90% of the field failures that we see are related to soil compaction.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, at the parks and recreation or school level. Yeah. It's because it's years and years and years and years of compaction that have built up, that don't build up in a sand-based field, that you have on a native soil field, that, as you show the traffic pattern here, as we showed the compaction data before, when you're focusing on those areas, and to me, what I'm hopeful for, really, Meg, is data like this. We've got just slews of data from this event, and there really hasn't been much research done on much research done on traffic patterns and things like that when it comes to sports. We're launching in the spring. We actually launched a research study on that got shut down because play got shut down, but we're relaunching that coming this week to really start to understand traffic patterns better. But when we understand this, and we have this kind of technology and to accumulate this data to change the way we think about these problems,
mm-hmm.
And that leads us to better solutions. And I think that's, and that's, to me, what I'm hopeful for is then we can use data like this to show administrators and budget folks, and we're no longer going to them to say, we need to aerify the field, and they say, well, why? Well, because it's hard. Well, what data we have with that?
Yeah.
It's like I kind of alluded to on how our tire maintenance approach for the entire MLSisBack event, it was every decision was data based, and because we haven't had data in the industry, like we've had to rely on, and we kind of say to our bosses, hey, it's my experience to be able to tell you, well, they need numbers, they need data. Mm-hmm. You show somebody a map like this, and they're going to understand quickly. We try to get people even to just use a drone. You put a drone up and get a vertical photo above the field. It's so powerful to see the traffic pattern, even just from a photo from above. Not complicated to do. But those are the kinds of tools that we can utilize to get the increased budget, get the changes in staffing or equipment or whatever it is that we would need, and at the same time, one other thing I really would encourage folks to think about is, if you need something more, you need more. Need a bigger budget for this or that, or you need a different tractor, you need a different mower, you need a different piece of aerification equipment. That decisions don't get made overnight in budget offices.
Mm-hmm.
Decisions get made over 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, 48-month periods. If you don't have a master plan for equipment acquisition or equipment replacement, or if you don't have a master plan for what you need for staffing, it's one thing we kind of miss, because we, especially in the middle of a pandemic, everybody has to be so hands-on. But if we're going to succeed, we have to take some time to be hands-off and have these, build these plans so that we can combine data like this with, a long-term plan to say that, hey, we need a new mower.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it may be next year or maybe 2 years before we can get that, or figure out what your leasing options are, figure out what your, figure out what your other options are to be able to kind of build into that, because then that makes a budget go a lot further, obviously. So So if you're not succeeding, I guess the takeaway would be, if you're not succeeding today, can you succeed next month? Can you succeed in 6 months? Can you succeed in 24 months from now? Like, how do you get to that point? It's cliche to say Rome wasn't built in a day, but any program, especially to pull, what we pulled off in this event, we built Rome in a day.
Yeah.
We did. We had to. We didn't have a choice, but we had the budget and the manpower and the really the willpower more than anything from what Tim and John and Tommy and their entire staff. It was more willpower than it was even manpower, because you run on fumes for so long. But you don't have to do that if you're planning ahead. And that's something I would definitely encourage as part of this as well.
Definitely. And so many takeaways from this event and just this chat. But if somebody would want to kind of, view these data points closer or just look at the event as a whole, where could they find you or some of these data points that they can review?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We put a lot of information on Twitter and Instagram during the event. There might be some takeaways from that. There's a kind of a long feed I shared that's really got all of the data points and a lot of the information about what it is that we were doing and some of the vendors that were supporting us. So if you like this kind of thing, you'll like cool videos. And I could watch a video like this for days. I love the thing that goes around on slow motion Twitter of people documenting their verification. So on Twitter I'm Jerad Minnick, and that you can see some of the stuff that went into it, and even I think here let me hit this. Yeah, the maps I just showed you right there, and feel free to screenshot those and steal them and use them to show your crew or show your boss or whoever it might be, the kind of the impact that and as we understand these traffic patterns better, we'll continue to share that information. We're pretty transparent in what we do at Natural Grass Advisory Group. We don't have anything that's that we hide. The only way we all get better is if we all understand it and we're all working together. So, or feel free to drop me an email, Jerad@naturalgrass.org at any point, for any questions or anything that we might be able to help with. So I was going back to that verification photo. I just watched that for days,
Well, awesome, Jerad. Thank you so much. And thank you for being a resource to us and being willing to be a resource to others. This has been impactful in so many ways and just so interesting to see unfold and then also kind of revisit it just to be in awe of the sheer insanity that you took on here.
It's brilliant.
You're able to accomplish. So we really appreciate your time just kind of unpacking this for us again. And we appreciate all the information that you have out there on this topic currently. So thank you. Is there anything you want to say in closing?
I mean, the only thing the thing I continue to reiterate is, we couldn't have had this success without Tim and Tommy and John and their entire staff at Disney and at ESPN. It just was what they got put through, and that's one thing that I think I voiced it to you, that I mean, they're heroes. They really are, from at least heroes to us. But at the same time, I think the industry, I think they're heroes to all of us, because they set an example of what's possible. Yeah, maybe it's scary. We're not suggesting that everybody should go out and have 15 professional matches in 16 days. We're not suggesting that. But if we can learn from this and we can get to that, guess what? Then we are more respected. We are better funded, and we are hopefully in the end higher paid. And that's really continues to be the thing that everybody sees or everybody focuses on, is how do we how do we get more respect, and how do we increase compensation in the world of sports, where especially professional sports, where compensation is so high for players, because we're important. Every single step that any of our 750 plus players from MLS took on a training field or a match field during this event, or any day on a training pitch or a stadium pitch anywhere, that's the responsibility as us as sports field managers. Mm-hmm. And what a cool thing to be able to be a part of, right? I mean, it really is the unsung heroes in a way. And, but like I said, all my love goes to those guys, because they are the rock stars that pulled this off. And I appreciate you, being interested in all this information. So thanks for allowing us to share.
Definitely. And thank you again. I think we're ready to sound off, but I just wanted to say thank you. And everyone, just give Jerad a follow on Twitter if you're looking for some more interesting data points on this event, or if you just want to look back at what he's already shared. It's definitely an interesting read. So thanks for joining us, folks. We will be back shortly with another Groundskeeper chat, so keep your eyes out.